Hi everyone, welcome back to Needle Workshop. My name is Emily and I'm here today to show you how to assemble one of our newest patterns, the incredibly versatile double-breasted school jacket. This jacket has two different front panels which can allow you to create a double-breasted front opening, an off-center front opening like you will see in today's tutorial, or a center finish with a zipper opening. This pattern is available online as a digital download along with super detailed written tutorial that includes tons of extra information such as how to properly measure yourself, how to print the pattern, some material suggestions, and incredibly in-depth instructions. It's an extremely versatile piece that can be used for a variety of different characters throughout your cosplay journey. The link to this wonderful pattern will be available in the description box below. I would like to advise you that the video tutorial may vary ever so slightly from the written one. After making the costumes, we are often able to condense and optimize the steps for the written version of the tutorial. It'll still be handy for you to have access to both though throughout the process of putting your garment together. As always, I suggest making a mock-up before starting. No two human bodies are exactly the same, so this will allow you to test the fit, make some tweaks and some adjustments before using your potentially much more expensive fabric. Also keep in mind that all our seam allowances are 1 centimeter from the edge unless specified otherwise. We say this every time, but we still get a lot of people asking us what the seam allowance of each product is. So it's 1 centimeter. And without any further ado, let's get started. Start by interfacing the front lining along with the back facing pieces. The lining pieces will be indicated on the pattern and will be shorter at the hem. If you're using the off-center front panels like I am, make sure to apply the facing to the right pieces since this look is asymmetrical. Right side to right side, align the shoulder seam of the front linings to the back facing. You'll need to stretch the back facing ever so slightly when sewing them together. Sew 1 cm from the edge and iron the seam allowances open. Overlock the hem of the back facing and the front lining pieces. Set the piece aside. Take out the back self piece. You're going to need to close your back darts, along with the shoulder darts. For the shoulder, align your notches and sew from notch to point. And for the back darts, align the center points and sew from top point to midpoint to lower point. Once sewn, iron the darts towards the center. Take out your front self pieces. Make sure you have them in the proper direction you want if you're using the off-center model. Right side to right side, align the front and back panels at the side seams and shoulder. Sew together 1 centimeter from the edge. Iron the side seam towards the front panel, which I did wrong here but will correct later. And iron the shoulder seam open. Right side to right side, align both color sets to its pair and sew together 1 centimeter from the edge along the top of the colors. Cut the excess seam allowance from the corners. Turn the piece inside out. And iron flat before top stitching the top 3 millimeters from the edge and top stitching the lower edge 7 millimeters from the edge. Align the two pieces to each other along the lower edge. You'll need to stretch out ever so slightly the inner collar piece, the white piece in my case, to fit the length of the inner collar piece. Sew together 7 millimeters from the edge. Right side to right side, align the lower edge of the collar to the neckline of the self. Make sure to align all your notches when you do so. Also important is to make sure the collar comes all the way to the front notch on both front panels. They will be marked on the pattern for reference. Sew into place 7 millimeters from the edge. Take out your lining piece. Before attaching the lining to the self, you'll need to finish the hem of the lining. I'm using a chalk pen to mark how high to iron the hem to. The hem needs to be turned in by 2 centimeters before top stitching it into place. Overlock the side seam of the lining. Remember to take the excess overlock and insert it back into the stitch using a blunt needle. I find leather working needles are the best for this. Here I'm fixing my side seam allowance and ironing it towards the front panel. Right side to right side, align the lining and self together along the neckline and center front. Make sure the collar is properly sandwiched in between and that all your notches and seams are well aligned. Here, the hem of the lining should be shorter by 3 cm since it is cut to be 1 cm shorter and it is additionally folded in by 2 cm. Sew together 1 centimeter from the edge. Cut the excess seam allowance from the corners. And then cut some notches into the neckline seam allowance. Turn inside out, making sure to push out your corners. Wrong side to wrong side, align the armholes of the self to the lining and pin in place. Make sure to align your seam and notches. Sew together 7 millimeters from the edge and iron your edges flat, including ironing the collar edges. Next, top stitch the self and lining together along the neckline 3 millimeters from the edge of the seam. To finish the hem of the self, turn the piece in twice by 1 centimeter. At the center front, make sure to turn it in over the seam allowance. You can mark a reference line with a washable fabric chalk for reference. Once ironed down, top stitch into place. Next, we'll need to stitch our lining down. Open up your jacket and make sure to lay down your lining flat and align it 1 centimeter past the side seam. Pin it down and sew into place with a stitch in the ditch. Next, you'll need to prep and install your sleeves. We've made these types of sleeves several times before for past patterns. You can find the full instructions in our past video linked in the description box below. Last but not least, you'll need to install your buttons and your snaps. You can use the pattern as a template to do so. It's important to remove the seam allowance when doing this, which in our case would be 1 cm at the front and 1 cm at the neckline. For this model, you can use either snaps or buttons depending on the final look you're looking for. I'm using a series of larger snaps to replace most of my buttons and 3 smaller snaps in between at the side. If you are using the option of the panel with a center closing, you'll need to use a zipper for this, and you can refer to another video tutorial to learn how to properly install a zipper. I will link the video in the description box below. To mark my buttons on the other side, I'm laying down my right side properly over the left side and using my already installed snaps to mark the placement. Make sure to cross-reference this placement with the pattern. I ended up having to reinstall them since they were way too far inward. Last but not least, I'm installing the one button I want for the final look of my jacket. I'm going to mark the placement of my buttonhole first and install it. Once the buttonhole is installed, I'll mark down the placement of the button. After sewing on your button, you'll need to install a hook and eye at the collar, and then you are done. Alright everyone, I hope this tutorial was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below. As always, if you could give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe and ring the bell, it always helps with the growth of our channel. Also, I highly suggest checking us out on our social media platforms. You'll find lots of content and updates and information there that you won't find here on YouTube. And if you ever use any of our patterns or tutorials and would like to be featured on any of our platforms, feel free to tag us, feel free to let us know. We love to see and we love to share your work. So I believe this concludes today's video. So until next time, good luck with your projects, guys. Bye bye.